a good question. How do you develop a courage muscle?
Yeah.
I call it a high diving board moment. So I remember as a kid, once in a while we'd come to Edmonton to visit our cousins, and one of my cousins would take me to the O'Leary pool. The O'Leary pool had this massive high diving board. And the courage it took, because I remember climbing up there, because it doesn't look so high when you're at the bottom, but once you get to the top, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
But to have the high diving board moment and to just trust and jump, and again the acceleration of aliveness that comes. So I think as parents, we need to encourage our kids to have things that really challenge them sometimes, and develop that sense of courage that I can do this. You're not gonna die. Be
Yeah.
smart about it, and to have those high diving board moments. Do something you haven't done before. I think for some women too, wearing a hat, there's some that was like, oh no, I'll never wear a hat. I remember wearing hats purposefully because I was uncomfortable wearing a hat. And now I love wearing hats, and hats work for me and whatever. But those things, really, those are the little itsy bitsy things that build courage, you know?
Yeah.
So dressing up in the go-go boots when we had them, and going out there and
Oh my God.
having your own style, that takes courage. It takes
Yeah.
courage. That courage grows. So whatever little thing it is,
Yeah.
we need to make ourselves uncomfortable sometimes in ways that are not harmful, and go for it. And they go, that was kind of fun.
Yeah. I used to say to people that, when they had asked me about, running marathons or doing a triathlon, I would say, well, I want to set up my own challenges so that life doesn't give me any, right?
Right?
But with those challenges you set up for yourself, whether it be learning a new skill, painting, calligraphy, could be driving, a bus for all I know. But whatever it is, you have anticipation. And I love the key word that you said, that there's this life force within you that gets ignited because there's that anticipation of what if it does work, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's and I love the high diving board analogy because that is really cool.
Yeah. It also reminds me, for us old timers, of a cartoon that used to be on TV of the Bugs Bunny, where the Yosemite Sam has bugs going up to the top, and he said, I paid my 2 bits to see the high diving act. Now I'm going to see the high diving act. Like, have some
Yeah.
fun, be playful.
You know what? I find this is so funny. And this is the first time we've actually had some of this conversation. So I'm like, oh my gosh, Marie. I was shopping one time with my mom and my daughter, and we were looking, I think, for a mother of the bride dress for one of my siblings' weddings. And there was this little blue house on the corner in Vegreville
Mhm.
that had these dresses, and my daughter ran in and there was hats lined all along the top, and she's like, Mom, check out all these hats. And she put one on and she's showing me, and I just looked at her and I said, I don't look good in hats, Krista. I don't look good in hats. And this little lady, she was about 4'11", comes from around the corner waving her little finger at me, saying, that's what you tell yourself. And that's why it just made me think about what you just said. We tell ourselves that we don't look good in something. We tell ourselves that we're not capable of something. We tell ourselves how many different things that we tell ourselves.
Mhm.
And now I will wear hats. But I just found it just so cool to hear that you had that similar experience. But I will never forget that lady. Never
Yeah.
forget, she was, 4'11", little powerhouse waving her little finger at me. I was just like,
So
okay.
those are the voices that we need to put in our head. Those ones that shake our finger at ourselves, going, where did that come from? You think
Yeah.
you're too scared to wear a hat to this place? Then you need to wear it. If
Yeah.
it's because nobody's going to throw you out. No one's going to, like, it's all up here. And the
Yeah.
more you'd be surprised, people go, wow, do you ever look nice in that hat? Or, you kind of stand out. So the fear
Yeah.
might be, I'm afraid to stand out in a crowd. If I'm
Mm.
in a hat, I'm going to get noticed. And do I really want that? And for many, it's like, no, I don't want to be noticed. I just want to blend in and be part of the crowd. But sometimes we need to get noticed. And so do things, even if, it's getting yourself out of that comfort zone. Lots of other people won't really, they're going to think, oh, look at her. She's wearing a hat.
Yeah.
It's all here. So
Yeah. It's
find
that
those little,
mental game.
it's a mental game. And so we need to play with that. When we find it in
Yeah.
ourselves, it's like, oh, isn't that interesting? What am I afraid of? Why wouldn't I join Toastmasters? Am I, fear of public speaking? But it's
Yeah.
such an important skill. I mean, I was involved in Toastmasters for 15 years at least. Got the DTM and all, like, did it all. And it was such a valuable part of not only my teacher training and how I could bring things to school, but in
Yeah.
everything else that I've done in life. So taking ourselves on and stop playing small. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve anybody. And show up. Just show up. Be curious.
I think the key word that you say, not playing small, but still being playful
Yeah.
and having fun with it, not taking ourselves so seriously. So with that, what is one of the craziest things that you've done to challenge yourself?
Other than running the business and, doing all that
Yeah.
crazy things. I think it's been traveling solo.
Mm.
Some Doing that, getting on a plane and going to Europe by myself and just going for adventures. Um, those have been really challenging times where it's like a little bit of naughty almost, and not sharing with a whole bunch of people what I'm up to, and
Yeah.
just go for it, but telling a few key people because you just don't want to leave town and nobody knowing where you are.
Yeah.
And now it's really easy for me. I love traveling, but getting out of that comfort zone of what you can do alone. Where can you go? Again, driving to California. I had never been to California before. I didn't even have a place to live. There was nothing. And
Wow.
I sold the car that I had because I wanted to buy something when I eventually got settled there. I borrowed my sister's vehicle, looked at a map. There was no GPS, there was no phone, there was
My
no
gosh.
cell
Yeah.
phone. Like this, we're talking in like 87, and just getting on the road and driving and figuring it out. Oh my gosh, I had no idea. It was the greatest adventure of my lifetime. Um,
What did you learn about yourself?
I learned, I learned, is it bravery, courage? I don't know. I learned about adventure. I learned about what I can do when I apply myself. If I can move myself to a part of the world I had never been to before. I had no idea about the school division I was going to work in. I had no place to live, and I just trusted that I would find my way. And I did, beyond anything I could ever have imagined. I couldn't have imagined if I'd planned it, if I had planned more than the fact that I did have a job and I did have a visa to go work. I think I would have played a smaller game than I ended up playing. Because honestly, I drove I drove until the end of the highway, which happened to be, if anyone knows, the number 10 in the freeway takes you into Santa Monica. And I remember driving through this tunnel, and all of a sudden, oh my goodness, there's the Pacific Ocean in front of me. I just was beyond myself. And I went and I pulled into a parking lot, and I got out and I walked down to the ocean, and I just wanted to put my feet in the ocean and experience that. And I don't know, I probably was just beaming. I don't know. Someone came up to me and said, "Are you new here?" I said, "Yeah, how did you know?" Well, I looked down and I had this big Canada t-shirt on, and white's really like, no. It's like, oh, okay, you get it. So I asked, I said, "You know what I am? I've just got a teaching contract down here, and I just arrived, and I have no idea where I'm actually going to stay or live. I've got some money with me or whatever. And this man happened to own some apartment buildings, and he was a Greek guy, and his
Yeah.
wife did medicine, and he gave me some incredible advice. He said, okay, look up at the beach. He said, do you see where Santa Monica Boulevard is? On this side is a safer part of the neighborhood, on that side. And he gave me advice that really helped me to take my next step. And there were
Yeah.
people who helped me, and good people. It was just unbelievable how
So
that
those
all,
synchrodestinies, right?
it was all of it. Unbelievable.